What's the difference between beer nuts and deer nuts? Well, beer nuts are $1 a bag, but deer nuts are under $1. Now, folks, I thought I would throw in at least one true story here today. This one really did happen, my hand to God. Once a penguin, believe it or not, was driving his Cadillac through Arkansas. I saw him go by. Cruising through this small town, his car began to knock and ping. So the penguin pulled his Cadillac into the local garage. The mechanic said, "It's going to be a couple hours before I can check it out." The penguin replied, "Well, I'll head across the street and check out that grocery store." He immediately heads into the frozen food section, where he spends the next 2 hours munching on fish sticks and ice cream bars. After a couple hours, the penguin heads back to the garage. The mechanic takes one look at him and says, "Well, looks like you blew a seal." To which the penguin blushed and replied, "Oh no, that's just vanilla ice cream." Why don't cannibals eat clowns? Because they taste funny. You know how a French woman holds her liquor? By the ears. What's the difference between Hillary with PMS and a pit bull? High heels and lipstick. A lot of lipstick. Now this one is Al Gore's favorite. A male and female whale are swimming off the coast of Japan when they pass under the very whaling vessel that killed the male's father 5 years before. Excited at the chance to exact revenge for his father's death, the male says, "Let's swim right underneath the ship and expel air through our blowholes until we capsize that boat. That ought to make them think twice about killing innocent whales." The female whale agreed, and together they managed to sink the whaler. But their celebration was short-lived when they noticed that most of the sailors were swimming to shore. "Hey, let's gobble 'em up," cries the male. "No way," says the female. "I agreed to the blow job, but there's no way I'm swallowing semen." I had a buddy back in Arkansas who divorced his new wife when he found out she was a virgin. I asked him, "Why did you do that, Virgil?" And he replied, "Well, hell, if she ain't good enough for her family, she sure ain't good enough for me." The florist delivered a dozen roses to Kate's office. "Damn," she said to her friend. "Now I'll have to spend the entire weekend with my legs up in the air." Her friend replied, "What's the matter, honey? Ain't you got a vase?" I have such a good memory that I can remember events that occurred before I was born. In fact, I distinctly remember going to the drive-in with my father and returning home with my mother. Did you hear they hired a doorman down at the sperm bank? His job is to tell each guy, "Thanks for coming." Do you know the difference between light and hard? Personally, I can sleep with a light on. Here's a hypothetical for you. If you come across Newt Gingrich drowning in the middle of a raging river, and you had a choice between rescuing him or getting a Pulitzer Prize winning photograph, what shutter speed would you use? One night last week, I felt like I needed some inspiration, so I decided to take a long walk. Passing the Washington Monument, I prayed to the spirit of President Washington, the father of our country. "George, you were our country's first great leader. Everyone trusted you. How can I gain the people's trust?" And I swear I heard the voice of President Washington say to me, "Never tell a lie." I thought this over as I continued on my walk. Passing the Jefferson Memorial, I prayed to the spirit of Thomas Jefferson. Thomas, you established the basis for our entire legal system. You were a very popular president. How can I improve my popularity? And I swear I heard the voice of President Jefferson say, never raise taxes. I winced a little, but I kept on walking. Passing the Lincoln Memorial, I was getting desperate, so I prayed to the spirit of President Lincoln. Honest Abe, you were a man of great integrity. You abolished slavery and, in so doing, helped free all Americans from an uncivilized institution. Abe, how can I set our people free today? And you know what that dang Lincoln said to me? Go see a play. What does George Bush have in common with Jennifer Flowers? They were both upset when I finished first. Hillary bounded into the Oval Office today. Why are you so happy? I asked her. Oh, I just came back from Bethesda Naval Hospital in my annual physical, she replied. The doctor said I had the breasts of a 25-year-old. Well, I asked her, what did he say about your 50-year-old ass? Oh, she replied, your name didn't come up. Chelsea, my lovely daughter, she was out walking with a couple of her girlfriends when they spotted Newt Gingrich himself about to be run over by a car. They quickly pulled him out of the way and onto the curb. Well, you saved my life, ladies, said Newt. As Speaker of the House, I'm a very powerful man here in Washington. What could I do to repay you? The first girl says, I want to go to Georgetown. Newt replies, consider it done. The second girl says, I want to go to West Point. Newt replies, no problem, I'll take care of it. Now he turns to Chelsea. And what can I do for you, Chelsea? She says, I want to be buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Newt says, well, that's an odd request for such a young woman. Well, maybe so, says Chelsea. But when my daddy finds out I saved your life, he's going to kill me. She is such a scamp. I mean, that really wouldn't happen. I'm not going to kill my own daughter. One night in the middle of nowhere, a traveling salesman car breaks down right by a farmer's house. The salesman knocks on the farmer's door. The farmer answers and says, sure, you can spend the night here, but you have to sleep with my 19-year-old son. But only if you promise not to... Wait, never mind, interrupts the salesman as he starts back to his car. I'm in the wrong joke. Newt Gingrich and I were discussing family values. Newt said, I never slept with my wife before we were married. Did you? And I replied, well, I don't know, Newt. What was her maiden name? What do a hurricane and a marriage gone bad have in common? They both start off with a lot of sucking and blowing, but in the end, somebody loses a house. Say, did you hear about the scientists that discovered the million-year-old bacteria inside that meteorite from Mars? Oh, it's great to know that somewhere there's a life form older than Bob Dole. Some of the women in Arkansas are so fast, I had to put a governor on them. Two nuns were bicycling down a cobblestone street when the first one said, Sister Catherine, I don't believe we've ever come this way before. And Sister Catherine replied, must be these cobblestones. Well, it seems a woman walked into the pro shop at a country club with tears streaming down her face. The golf pro said, oh my God, lady, what happened? She replied, I got stung by a bee. Golf pro said, I'm so sorry. Where did it happen? She replied, between the first and second holes. To which the golf pro answered, "Oh, that's your problem. Your stance is too wide."